All right, another blatant example of NBC trying to politicize the coronavirus.
U.S. is hitting record COVID cases. Europe is getting back to business.
Cases. It's always cases the media is reporting on. Yeah, when you increase testing, it's common sense that there's going to be more cases. The metrics that matter are ICU admissions and deaths. Hospital admissions aren't even that useful because the reports are the people who are just scared are checking in. They're not sick, they're just scared.
Despite a few targeted closures in hotspots, Europe appears to be over its first wave. The United States clearly is not.
Clearly. You see how Richard Engel here is trying to inject scolding opinion? We're still ahead of most European countries in death counts, but you would never know by the way the media presents things.
The numbers tell the story. This graph shows how Europe and the U.S. both faced an initial surge in coronavirus cases.
Again, he's still scolding. He's saying, bad, we did something wrong. Also, this graph is bullshit. Again, we're still talking about cases. And who's getting sick now? Young people, the vast majority who are not at risk. And there's no point in comparing cases unless we're talking about cases per capita, per million. The U.S. is still below most European country death counts per capita. Comparing sheer numbers is deceptive.
But then Europe crushed the curve to where it's now well below the U.S. and stable. While the U.S. vacillated, lost time, and eventually flattened the curve, only to see cases skyrocket in June. But why?
Okay, here's where NBC turns their newscast into an all-out political propaganda piece. And you'll notice how NBC never gives a source for their conclusions. This is according to who? One individual? Two cherry-picked individuals? Did NBC ever seek out any contrasting opinions? Nope.
While each country in Europe had slightly different experiences.
Yeah, for one thing, there's different mutations of the virus in different countries that we really don't know what's going on. They're saying that the West Coast's strain originally came from Asia's strain, and then New York's original strain came from people traveling from Europe. And oh, lo and behold, New York's curves have been acting just like Europe's curves. It killed a whole bunch of people initially compared to the rest of the U.S., and it kind of just, it's been dying out.
Generally, Europe stuck to a script. COVID policies were national, not up to local discretion.
Okay, right. That right there is number one, hypothesis bullshit. Number two, you don't shut down rural counties that have 0 coronavirus deaths and like 2 cases. That's how you destroy economies. Also, California was struck early and took tough lockdown measures right away, and yet cases are surging. So this debunks NBC's theory.
The science was never politicized.
What? A friggin' virus doesn't care if it's being politicized or not. The virus is going to do what the virus is going to do.
Mask wearing was widely accepted, not seen as an affront.
Nobody is spreading coronavirus outside. Where's the contact tracing study to prove this? And NBC is just making this stuff up.
Closures were enacted quickly?
Yeah, that's exactly what Trump did. He imposed travel restrictions on China when Joe Biden called the move xenophobic and close-minded. Or when Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats, and the media were all saying, no, the flu was worse. This is NBC playing Monday morning quarterback.
And lifted slowly.
Yeah, we did that too. And no, we cannot indefinitely shut down the economy. And also, people can decide for themselves if they want to lock themselves in their homes, just as they can decide if they want to take up smoking or drinking or rock climbing.
European countries are looking at a number of countries in the world.
So is this the guy? Is this the one guy with a theory for why cases are spiking? By the way, I've had about enough of these English experts making predictions. The other guy who predicted 2.5 million deaths or whatever, I think we learned our lesson never to trust these modelers.
Brazil, the United States, India, Russia in particular, as reservoirs of infection that will continue to pose a threat to the rest of the world.
Dr. Anthony Fauci admitted the U.S. isn't following a winning formula.
When you compare us to other countries, I don't think you can say we're doing great.
Orange man bad.
We're just not.
We're just not. Have you seen the death comparisons?
COVID has been a test. The U.S. so far is failing it.
Are we really? You know, NBC also, they never talk about how the number of COVID-related deaths is very likely to be underreported outside of the U.S. And is NBC ever going to talk about the collateral deaths and damage of shutting down the economy forever?
Without mentioning any country in particular, Germany's Angela Merkel this week said,
Oh, now we're going to go to Hillary Clinton's favorite world leader, Angela Merkel, the globalist who always butts heads with Trump because Trump is a nationalist and nationalism is at odds with globalism.
the pandemic can't be fought with lies and disinformation, hatred, or agitation.
So wenig wie mit Hass.
She said COVID exposed the limits of fact-denying populism.
Oh, Jesus. Propaganda. This is absolute anti-Trump propaganda. This woman is as full of shit as Hillary Clinton.
President Trump has insisted.
Yeah, there we go. That's what this whole segment was all about. It's an attempt to attack Trump. Blame a virus on Trump.
Has insisted on reopening schools.
Yeah, this is the other media distortion. Have you seen the data? The risk to children is almost non-existent.
Here in Europe, that's already happening. But most countries waited until they'd flattened the curve before bringing students back.
Shut up. They never needed to because young people are not at any great risk in the first place. They should be developing herd immunity, and parents can decide for themselves if they want to homeschool or quarantine themselves while their kids are in school. By the way, people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s aren't at any great risk if they're healthy. So why do we have to have government quarantine everybody?